It's hard to bet on the Eagles right now. It's hard to think that the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl because they look very different than what we expected them to look with another year of the Jalen Hurts offense, a new contract for Jalen Hurts. And what we heard and seen from Jalen Hurts last year, we thought would lead into this year to be even better. That's how football works.
Yep.
Well, there's been some drama over there.
Quite a bit.
Big Dom DeCastro over.
Yeah, right.
Gets kicked off the sideline. Since then, by the way, Big Dom needs to potentially go renegotiate his contract because they might be wanting to take money from him. I'm thinking the complete opposite. Not only is he securing people off the field, they're a much better football team when he's on the sideline. I don't know what he was doing on the sideline during games, but that is a piece that is certainly potentially missing, and I don't think it's just, coinky-dink that'll happen at the exact same time. But A.J. Brown spoke up from the locker room that made me believe a little bit that the Philadelphia Eagles are actually heading in the right direction, and maybe we do get on board with this Philadelphia Eagles team. Here's A.J. Brown talking in the locker room after announcing on Twitter that he'll be talking tomorrow after hearing everything that's been said about the Philadelphia Eagles.
There may be things that Nick probably want to fix about himself, and I'll say, but one thing I can't respect, loyalty is not one of them. And I say that because he takes up for us when it has nothing to do with him. And he gets the blame, but that comes with his job, and sometimes Jalen does the same thing. And just like Brian, he get the wrong end of the stick sometimes when it be us. But like I said today, the coaches played 0 snaps this year. It is not the coaches, it is us. And so, like I said, if one person goes the wrong way, the whole play is over with. And as you guys see, it is glimpse. It is highs and lows. It goes just like this. And so that's why I feel like. That's why honestly I feel like we are close. We are close to continue to getting better and continue to take that next step. With all this freaking adversity, we right there. That's what happens when you're trying to get to the next step. Gravity pulls against you. Everything pulls against you, and I think that's what this team is going through right now. And I think once we fight through that, push through that, we're gonna be fine. We're gonna be right where we need to be. Because I know we got great people in this locker room. We got good people.
You mentioned that.
Huh?
Yep.
That was nice.
We got accountability in there?
Yeah.
Awesome.
We got a player sticking up for a coach that's been taken in on the shins by everybody.
Good eye
You also
contact.
got some great eye contact. Hey, look at me. Okay? I want you to see how I feel while I'm saying this. I'm talking to you right now. You need to hear this. Nick Sirianni is loyal to us. He is stuck up for us, which is, by the way, good coaching. Other players hear that around the league because there's a false sense of accountability from coaches that we all hear and stuff like that. But Sirianni just blatantly lying for his players publicly, like that is something that can maybe bring a locker room together even tighter and play their best ball. He thinks they're close. Chuck, you've obviously looked at this Philadelphia Eagles team over the year. And I think you even came into me and said, hey, I did a little bit more research on this Philadelphia Eagles team if you want to talk about it. What do you think's going on in Philadelphia? And what do you think is the right fix over there?
Yeah, so anytime, you go back to the end of last year, after the loss in the Super Bowl, when you have success, you're going to lose good people. So we know they lost their offensive coordinator who's here in Indy, Shane Steichen.
Great.
Big loss, right? Really good. John Gannon, they lose their defensive coordinator. They were number 1, number 2 in the National Football League on defense. He's in Arizona.
Great, allegedly.
Yeah.
Like what we're all thinking, right?
They're playing hard.
That's what they're saying?
It certainly looks like it. That team, forget the record. All you're looking for, because that was
Effort.
They blew the thing up. Effort.
And they're giving.
And they play.
Yeah.
They play.
And that's
and the way the quarterback came back and played, I didn't see that coming. I don't know if anybody saw that coming.
No.
Like him coming back and actually playing the way he's playing.
Motivated, I think, too. Which, by the way, goes back to coaching. And I think Kyler actually came out and said, I would run through a wall
Said the connection was instant.
for him and Coach Gannon.
Yeah.
So that I assume Coach Gannon had in Philly as well. You take that. Shane Steichen, by the way, same way here in Philly. So you lose 2 glue guys as well.
Accountability.
Yeah.
Right? No nonsense guy. Treat you fair, not throw you under the bus, like they're talking about Nick. Dive on the sword for you. But behind closed doors, pull you in and say, hey, look, you ain't playing worth a shit, or you're doing this really good. And behind closed doors, you and I both know, AJ knows this, that you can, if there's a relationship there and there's trust there, you can tell each other whatever. Right? We've had some really good conversations, right?
Good, yes.
But as long as that respect is there and that trust is there and I give a shit about you and I love you and vice versa, then you can have those. And so I think that's probably happening in Arizona. I think that probably happened last year. I'm not going to say whether it's happening this year or not, but when you have staff changes, so in comes Desai, defensive coordinator, Brian Johnson gets elevated as the offensive coordinator. You lose not only Gannon, but you lose assistant coaches. Nick Rallis is his defensive coordinator. I believe he was an assistant there with him. The secondary coach that was there, I think probably wanted that job, didn't get that job as DC. So he goes, he leaves. He's in Baltimore now, which I think has pretty good defense. Pretty good secondary. So you got a lot of turnover there. Communication-wise, you got personnel, right? 2 safeties that were dogs last year. CJ, GJ is in Detroit, right? Yeah. Been hurt a little bit, but he's a dog. Epps is in Vegas. 2 big safeties. Hargrave went to San Francisco. You got personnel.
And Dominican Sue.
You got Sue gone. So there's personnel changes. So then there's just schematic stuff, what you're going to do scheme-wise. So you bring in a senior defensive assistant in Matt Patricia. That's happening a lot. So that's not like uncommon. That's happening a lot in the National Football League.
What is it? You get a young DC?
So you get whoever. Might be young, might be old. Like, who are we talking about? Foxy. John Fox, right?
Yeah.
Legendary, right? He comes to Indy a year ago. I think he's now in Detroit, Foxy, if I'm not mistaken. But they pair him up with somebody to come in. Hey, I got an old sage, been around the block, coached, been in Super Bowl, this, that, and the other. Not only for the head coach to bounce stuff off of with your experiences. What am I missing here? Go in, close the door, have a conversation, but then help out a young defense coordinator, a young staff. So you got a lot going on there. And as we all know, if you start to slide and you lose 1, you lose 2, then everything, they start coming at you from all angles. And inside, you're trying to figure out, okay, do I listen to this? Blinders, earmuffs? And it starts to seep in a little bit. And then there's self-doubt. And then there's change. So you can't. And then you have a turnover. A couple weeks ago, they demote Desai.
Oh, yes. Matt Patricia's now calling plays.
And to Sean's defense, he went up in the box that game. I think they were on the road at Seattle. Was that the first?
Yeah, and they played well all game, and then they gave up the 98-yard touchdown or 92-yard touchdown drive.
Yep. And he handled it like a pro. You can imagine how hard that would be. Usually if they make a change like that, like you're out the door and we're moving on. But he stayed on. He totally professional, and Matt comes in, and they haven't been better. It hasn't changed. It's looked worse at times. So
you actually sent in a couple plays here for Matt Patricia's defense. Now, Coach Patricia obviously has to work within the framework of the defense that's already been installed, but he's got to call the plays pretty much, right? And this is the first play of a game in Week 17 of a defense. Week 17 of a defense here. Go ahead, Chuck. What do you see here?
Yeah. So 1st and 10. It's single high. Anybody can see that, right? You got eight in the box. It's 12 personnel on Arizona. It's a run look. I believe, I can't see the number, but I'm guessing that's James Conner in the backfield, right? So you got an early down situation. You want to do it?
No, you can do it if it's working.
So you run the clip here. I'm going to run it back. So the guy that's highlighted right here, if we pause that.
Yeah.
Okay, the guy that's highlighted there, okay, pause it. That's Avonte Maddox. He's the starting nickel back. So they're in they're in nickel personnel versus 12. Okay, so his responsibility, I'm going to say this is cover 3, single high, corners have deep thirds. He's got the flat up top. He's a curl flat defender. But if it's run, all right, they got a 9 technique outside, a wide 9. Okay, if you highlight the right end, defensive end on a 2-point stance, I think that's Sweat.
Yep.
Okay, so he's in a wide 9. So if they run away and they turn out on Sweat, which they do in this instance, they turn out on him. If you can run it a few seconds before the play action ends, stop it here. So there's the play action, right? His eyes are on the tight end. So the tight end's blocking. If they hand this ball off, my responsibility is a C-gap. It's inside. Now, he overreacts to this, all right, because of the play action, whatever. He should have kind of a feel for receiver releasing up the field, but everything's telling him. So I got C-gap. So I overreact to that. I'm still in a crossover, okay? And then you let it go, Pat. And then you're going to have this guy's in the flat. The other tight end's on a crosser. There's absolutely nobody in the flat. So
that's first play of the game.
Yeah. And I can get, he's probably back. He's been injured. He's frothing at the mouth to go hit James Conner. The tendency probably said, hey, on 1st and 10, Matt probably set up there on 1st and 10, 12 personnel, James Conner, he's at 7 yards deep. This is a run. Okay, play run, 70%, 80% run. So he overreacts. We don't have anybody in the flat.
Okay, and let's go to another play here.
And there's 20-yard gain, right?
Let's go to another play that maybe.
So now you've got a 3rd and 6 situation. Not to cut you off. I apologize.
No, you should. Yeah.
Go back to the start, and we can kind of explain what's going on here. So they've got everybody up at the line of scrimmage, right? It looks like a cover 0 look. If you count those guys at the line, you've got one guy over here. This deep safety's over the top of this. Could be 0, could be a zone pressure. They like that kind of stuff. Matt done it in his history at Detroit, all the way back to New England. Desai has run this. To your point, you can't change everything midstream. You can change a coach, but he's basically going to work with the same defense, the same fronts and coverages. So they start in an empty set here, and so there's some confusion here where, okay, who's got this guy man-to-man? So I'm guessing before the ball snapped, right? That guy on the right side of the line of scrimmage that's moving with the motion, I'm guessing he's got that guy man-to-man. Okay, I'm not in the meeting. So before he goes, so once he goes, he's thinking, shit, I got to go from the right inside, because what he's probably thinking is if they don't snap, I'm going to cover this guy or pressure rush him. So once he goes, he runs across the formation because I've got this guy man-to-man. Well, 41 and him obviously aren't on the same page because he's looking back to the deep safety saying, is this my responsibility? Are you guys taking this? Is he running all the way over across from the other side of the ball to take this, or should I take this? Takes a guy out of the rush. It puts 2 guys on a decoy, and then there's nobody, okay, sitting in the window for that throw on 3rd and 6. So it's an easy pitch and catch, and a guy from deep safety has to make this tackle, and it's a first down. So those are things like, this is probably a good call, good scheme, but from a practice standpoint, if you got a lot going in, you know with practice time, you only get so many reps. You only get so many 3rd down reps. Like Thursday is a 3rd down day, a 2-minute day, a little bit of red area. Friday's big red area. So you're going to get maybe 20 snaps. You have walkthroughs, but do you have time to actually that call?
Do you think that's fixable?
Versus empty, versus 1 back, versus 2x2, 3x1?
We're going into week 18. You think it's fixable?
It has to be.
But what does that mean?
Yeah,
you know what
it
I mean?
should be.
I think as a coach, and Matt's going to do this along with Sean and Nick, is you got to go back and say, okay, when you evaluate these plays, not the first one, but this 3rd and 6 one, did we give the players a chance? Did we run that play in a walkthrough? Did we run it in practice? And did we show them against that formation? How many formations did they see it?